Where did you go to boot camp the first couple?
I went to Fort Bliss, Texas.
Fort
Normally,
Bliss.
people who got drafted went to Fort Ord, which is Monterey, but we got drafted and we just got on a bus, and the next thing you know, we were on a plane and we went to Texas.
Oh man, that's a pretty good while away.
Yeah, to El Paso.
What were your first impressions of boot camp like? Maybe like your first day or whatnot?
Well, it was, at the time we were all young and we were pretty competitive, and they always had it like that, you know, with doing the PT and stuff, so we were kind of competing against each other, and at the time it wasn't that big of a transition, but being in Texas as opposed to being in California, there was a difference in the atmosphere.
Oh yeah. Did you do anything at boot camp that helped prepare you for the war? Like any training that you remember that might have made a good impact on you when you were out there?
Not in boot camp. We had what's called AIT, Advanced Infantry Training. That's after you go 2 months in boot camp.
Also like the next step?
Yeah, the next step. Then you get your MOS, which is your military occupational skill, and then you go into training. So after Texas, we went to Louisiana, and it was a whole different transition then to Fort Polk.
Okay. How were your interactions with the other soldiers at boot camp?
Oh, it was pretty good. Sometimes, I guess Texas was okay. In Louisiana, it was a little further south.
Yeah.
And the people that we were interacting with was okay, but some of the officers had already been in the service, and sergeants and stuff, they had their own kind of way of running the things, and how their demeanor was, and we weren't quite used to that being from California, especially being a minorities.
Oh, could you elaborate on that? Were they were they a good deal different from the Texas officers?
Yeah, well, they were just they were more southern, and at that time in the '60s, it wasn't as equal as it is today.
Yeah.
There's a lot of discrimination in the military.
What were your first impressions when you first arrived in Vietnam, like when you first got there?
It was just like going into an oven. When they opened the door, it was just like difference, because we left from Fort Lewis, Washington, which was in the snow. We were training at the end in the snow, and we flew over the pole, and we flew directly into Vietnam in about 18 hours, and it was like going from the snow into the oven.
Oh, what a transition.
Yeah, it was quite a transition.